Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. This is Prepping by Faith, and today I wanted to talk to you about the fact that we all have different gifts and talents. I kind of mentioned this a little bit in my God Sees Your Heart video, but I wanted to expound on this further. A lot of us think we are just born with an aptitude for math or writing or art, or maybe we are really good at putting things together with our hands, or we are gifted at teaching others. The list goes on, but there is more to our gifts and talents than just being born with an interest in something. I believe that God has given us all different gifts and talents, and He has done that not only to show how unique we are, but also to help us build a community. If we were all the same, then it would be very difficult to have a community. If everyone were a doctor, you might not have any sick people, but you also might be living in a pathetic shack because you don't have anyone skilled in construction. Or if everyone were a teacher, we might all know the basics of different skills, but no one would really be well versed in any one thing. We need to remember that our uniqueness is what makes the world such a wonderful place. I think we need to work on appreciating each other for who we are instead of trying to change others to be more like us. Sometimes that sounds like it would be a good idea, right? Like, if this person were more like me, then we wouldn't argue about this all the time. Or if this person were more like me, we would get X done so much more efficiently. None of us are perfect people, no matter what we think. We get in our own way a lot of times trying to make someone more like us, and we need to remember that God has a plan for each of us. In Proverbs 18:16, we are told, "A man's gift makes room for him and brings him before great men." What a powerful verse. If we really dissect that, we are being told that our gifts and talents will open up doors to God's plan for our lives. When I think of this scripture, I'm reminded of Joseph and how even though his brothers had evil intent, when they stripped him of his coat of many colors and sold him into slavery, he was placed in a position of authority. He started out in Potiphar's house, an officer for the Pharaoh. He found favor in his sight until he was accused of sexual assault by Potiphar's wife and thrown into jail. However, God's plan didn't end there. He interprets a cupbearer and baker's dreams. The cupbearer promises to help Joseph, but soon forgets when he is released. Pharaoh himself begins to have troubling dreams, and no one can interpret them for him. The cupbearer finally remembers Joseph, and Pharaoh sends for him. This is when he interprets the dream of the 7 fat cows and the 7 skinny cows, and tells him they will have 7 years of plenty and 7 years of famine. Joseph is now in a position to advise Pharaoh, and because of this, he is made his right-hand man. Joseph's gift from God of dream interpretation not only made room for him, it truly brought him before great men. First, he was placed in Potiphar's house, and then later, he became a ruler for Pharaoh. I believe that if God blessed Joseph with this special gift and he had a plan for his life, he has also blessed us with gifts and talents and has a plan for our lives. We need to spend time seeking him and praying about what those gifts and talents are and getting ourselves in a position to hear his voice so that when he calls us into position, we are ready to accept. In James 1:17, we are told, "Every good gift and every perfect gift is from above and comes down from the Father of lights, with whom there is no variation or shadow of turning." God has given us perfect gifts, but we are not to just sit on them either. We are supposed to use them for good and also put them to use. In Matthew 25, verse 14 to 30, it tells us the story of the talents. If you aren't familiar with this parable, it is about a master giving each of his servants talents. Now, talents in this parable were a significant amount of money. He entrusted 5 talents to one, 2 to another, and 1 to the other. He gave them this according to their abilities, so according to their giftings. The servant who received the 5 talents went at once and traded with them to make 5 more. The one who was given 2 also made 2 more, but the one who was given 1 talent went and buried it. When the master returned, he rewarded each of them according to what they did with what they were given. Unfortunately, for the one who buried the talent, it was taken from him and given to the one with 10 talents because he did not obey his master. At a minimum, he could have given it to the bankers to earn interest. And verse 29 through 30, it says, "For to everyone who has will more be given, and he will have an abundance. But from the one who has not, even what he has will be taken away. And cast the worthless servant into the outer darkness. In that place there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth." So what were we supposed to get from this parable? We were supposed to understand the importance of not burying our gifts and talents that we are blessed with. The scripture told us the talents were handed out according to each of their abilities. God knows what each of our abilities are, and we are to be faithful with even the little we are given. The purpose of our gifts and talents is to bless those around us and draw others into the kingdom. I don't know about you, but I don't want to stand before Jesus one day and he says, "What did you do with what I gave you? Why didn't you tell anyone about me? Why didn't you give even a little of what you had to help anyone? I never knew you. Depart from me, you worker of iniquity." No, I want to hear, "Well done, my good and faithful servant," as I'm sure all of you do. Luke 16:10 says, "He who is faithful in what is least is faithful also in much, and he that is unjust in the least is unjust also in much." If we are faithful in the little we are given, whether that is monetarily or with our gifts and talents, then when we are blessed with more, we will be faithful with that too. Everything is a testing grounds here. We need to remember what's truly important and what we should be focusing on instead of the petty small things. I want to encourage you today to remember you are unique. You were made by God, and you were given gifts and talents for you alone. Don't compare yourself to someone else. Strive only to be a better version of yourself and more like Jesus. If you are struggling to figure out what your gifts and talents are, seek God. He has all of the answers. He will help you if you take the time and spend it with Him. Remember to always use what you have to bless others and be a blessing to others. If you don't have a lot of money, don't worry about that piece. Strive to give someone a word of encouragement. Pray for someone that is struggling. Give your time and skills instead. Someone might just need a shoulder to cry on or an ear to listen. They might just enjoy a meal in your company. There are many ways to bless others and use your gifts and talents for good. Thank you for joining me today, and if this has blessed you, please like, share, and subscribe to my channel. God bless.